What up, y'all? It's the homie Dame, and today I'm going to be ranking every currently running weekly Shonen Jump manga. This is not including any Jump Plus titles, at least I think so. Probably should have double checked, but we can save that for another video if y'all want. But yeah, if you guys were expecting Chainsaw Man Part 2 on here, sorry. It's not like y'all need me to tell you how good Chainsaw Man is anyway, come on. But yeah, the criteria for this list is just the same as with other tier lists that I do. It's how much I like the series. So enough rambling, let's get into it. Okay, let's just start from the oldest airing series on Weekly Shonen Jump and work our way to the present. So that means, of course, we're starting out with One Piece. Have you guys heard about One Piece? I know this may come as a surprise to you, but One Piece is more than just a Netflix show featuring Daddy Mac and you. It's actually based on a manga series. I know, shocker. Believe it or not, this manga series actually has a fairly popular anime adaptation too. You should check it out. Yeah, One Piece is very good. You don't need me to tell you that. I'm not 100% caught up though, so I got nothing to say about the more recent stuff that's been going on, but I'm sure it's all good. I've been reading One Piece since it came out in like, what, 1999 or some shit, and I feel like I can just never catch up. I'll read a bunch of chapters, then take like a 5 to 10 year break before trying to catch up again. And I've never even tried to watch the anime, so don't ask me about none of that. But yeah, One Piece is cool as fuck, man. Probably my favorite of the big three, but that's not saying much since I don't really like any of those stories that much anyway. Go watch my Bleach videos though, shameless plug. I know they say One Piece is gonna end soon, and by soon, I mean within the next 3 to 5 years, I guess. But once that day does come, oh man. It'll be like LeBron James retiring, the end of an era. One Piece is kind of like Gold Roger himself. I've left all my manga readers in One Piece. And then all the other manga series are scrambling to snatch up the One Piece readers after the series ends. Anyway, One Piece is S tier. Next is My Hero Academia. Kinda crazy that this is the second longest running series on the publication now. Holy. I feel like it was just yesterday when My Hero Academia was like the hot new up and comer. I guess now it's like a boomer series. But yeah, My Hero Academia is an interesting series to talk about. I plan on doing a full video soon talking about it in depth once we get closer to the end of the manga, which should be soon. Maybe. This manga has definitely had its ups and downs though. It had the benefit of starting up when the Marvel Cinematic Universe was really getting into its full swing and everyone was still high on superhero movie fever before all the burnout started happening. I know a lot of people who got into anime because of My Hero Academia, and if you're into the YouTube reaction space, a lot of reaction channels popped off with their My Hero Academia videos as well. No one can deny the commercial and cultural success of the series. I think we can all agree on that, yeah? But man, if My Hero Academia hasn't had the wildest decline in writing quality I've seen in a minute. And again, I want to keep this video as spoiler free as possible, so I won't go into detail, but it really is crazy. This final arc specifically has been a mess of genuine good moments and just dumpster fire buffoonery. It's either one or the other, but that's just my opinion. If we're taking into consideration just the recent stuff in the manga, My Hero Academia is like D tier, but overall I think the manga is also, you know, very solid and fun to read, so C tier. Next up is Sorcery Fight. Oh, I mean Jujutsu Kaisen. First off, another shameless plug. Go check out my Patreon for full-length, uncut reactions to Season 2. It's all good stuff. It's funny. I make a lot of jokes, I promise. But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen, it's arguably the new flagship series for Weekly Shonen Jump. Except it's not really new, and it also may be ending soon. But yeah, this series' popularity has obviously skyrocketed in recent years due to the great anime adaptation by MAPPA. If for some reason you don't know what this series is about, it's basically Japanese people fighting each other with sorcery. So yeah. Sorcery Fight. Normally this series isn't the kind of thing I'd usually like, and for a while I was pretty indifferent about it. I think I said before on video that Jujutsu Kaisen was a series that I was both super invested in and uninvested in at the same time. Invested because I read it every single week, I never miss a single chapter, and I watch the anime. And uninvested because I could not care less about the series in general. I could barely tell you what's happening. I don't even know any characters' names, I don't care that much. But it's still good. good. Really good, actually. If I had to give any complaint, it'd be that the art style isn't really for me, I guess, and I can't stand all the overly complex Hunter x Hunter JoJo power explanations. But the hype is there. Some of the moments it creates feel so cinematic. I just don't know how to describe it. Like, I'm telling y'all, I really do not care about this series at all, but it's just so good at the same time. It's weird. Who knows, really? It's probably some weird cognitive dissonance thing, but I'm gonna say Jujutsu Kaisen is S tier, though. Next is Mission Yozakura Family. I mean, it's a cool series. Weirdly enough, this is a manga that gets compared to Spy Family a lot, which personally I don't see the resemblance besides the fact that they both have to do as spies and they both have families in them. Except Spy Family is more slice of lifey and Mission Yozakura Family is like Dragon Ball mixed with Tonikawa. If you don't know, the manga is basically about some guy who marries this blue girl who comes from a family of spies. She's really important or something, so he has to protect her by becoming a spy himself. It's cool, I guess. I remember liking the early chapters a lot more, you know, before it turned into the over-the-top Dragon Ball Z stuff. I even did a video about it if I remember right. But since then, I've fallen behind on the series, and honestly, I could not care less about it at this point. I will say I'm mildly excited for the anime adaptation though. That should be pretty fun. I'd say Mission Yozakura Family is C tier. Definitely still worth reading if you want some, you know, fluffy romance, but also crazy shonen action. Next up, we got Undead Unluck. I'ma say it straight up, I don't like this manga. It's another case of a series that starts off with a really strong, clever premise, but then it goes all downhill when it starts leaning into common shonen tropes, and then it just becomes another battle shonen series, and it's like, oh man. What a shame. And I'll say, there are a lot of good ideas in this manga. There's some interesting world building stuff, there are some cool characters, but for the most part, I'm good on it. I think it's definitely worth reading for the first few arcs though, because like I said, I actually really liked it at the beginning. Also, the anime is coming out soon, which I will be talking about on the channel, so if you want to catch up on the series for all of that, you know, now's the time to get to it. I'm gonna say Undead Unluck is D tier though. Me and Roboco is next. This is a comedy series, as I'm sure you can imagine, and believe it or not, this series outsold Undead Unluck, so if you're somebody who cares about manga sales, I mean, I'll let you think what you want about that. Personally, this is another one I'm pretty indifferent on. I think it's charming, it has a nice, quaint art style, and the jokes for the most part are pretty funny, which obviously is the most important thing for a series like this. What I will say is that the manga does get a lot of hate though, which in my opinion is completely unwarranted. I don't want to speculate, but I feel like it comes from people who are upset that Weekly Shonen Jump has axed a lot of series, and yet me and Roboco survives and thrives to this day. I already know someone is out there steaming because Candy Flurry got canceled, but this series is still out there pumping out new volumes like it's nothing. Again, it's a cool series though. If you like comedy, there's a lot of good stuff in here, but me personally, there's a much better comedy series in Weekly Shonen Jump that we'll talk about later. I'm gonna say me and Roboco is C tier. Next up, Sakamoto Days. Now, if any of the series on this list need an anime adaptation, it's this one, because, man, it's pretty good. I will say this one is also a series I have a weird relationship with, because I was following it from the day it released. I thought it was just okay. Then I thought it was amazing. Then now I've kind of fallen off it and I'm behind on the chapters. I don't know, it's a whole thing. Not that I think it got bad or anything, it's just, you know, I got stuff to do. Like play Honkai Star Rail. But for real, Sakamoto Days is super dope. If you haven't heard of it, it's basically about a former legendary hitman who now tries to live a quiet, humble life as a convenience store owner. But of course, if it was just that, little Japanese teenagers would get bored reading, so they gotta add a bunch of fighting and stuff in there. It's pretty good though, trust me. And jokes aside, the action in this manga is arguably one of its strongest points. The choreography, the paneling, and the art style gives a lot of Park Chan-wook vibes or like John Wick, like that type energy. It's very good. I just need to catch up on it, so I'm gonna put it in A tier. Next, we got The Elusive Samurai. I think this one also has an anime coming up sometime soon, which is a good thing because this is a great series. I want to say it's a great series. The reason I think it's great is because it paints a pretty good picture of Japanese history, which which I like because while stuff like that is obviously commonplace back in the motherland, Asian history might as well be a complete mystery to people in the West, which is understandable, but that's why stories like this should get read because it's just dope subject matter in my opinion. Basically, The Elusive Samurai is a very pseudo-historical retelling of the life of Hojo Tokiyuki, a samurai from 12th century Japan who, like me in my last marriage, is good at running away. For me personally, I really like the surprising depth of this series. I think it's good at creating emotional moments, even though the tone is kind of all over the place. Again, I won't spoil specifics here, but if you just go read even the first chapter, you'll get what I mean. Like 1 second, there'll be a very, very, very dark scene happening, and then the next moment it's like, whoa, wacky anime comedy. It's not like that all the time, but that kind of stuff threw me off, so you might feel the same. Overall though, I'd say The Elusive Samurai is B tier. Next up, we have my personal favorite manga on this list, Witch Watch. Now, if you watch this channel, you may know that I love dick riding this manga and preaching its merits every chance I get. I made a whole video about it too, so go watch that for a more in-depth discussion, but yeah. Witch Watch is a very good manga. Remember when I talked about Roboco and said there was a better comedy series in Shonen Jump? Yeah, it's Witch Watch. I made the controversial claim that it was the new Gintama, except it's really not that controversial because the mangaka for Witch Watch used to be an assistant to Hideaki Sorachi, so you can imagine it's a very similar style of comedy. And again, you can watch the video I did for the in-depth premise. I know, shameless plugs all over, but I like money, what can you do? But yeah, I really love this series. It's my favorite currently running Shonen Jump series and one of my favorite ongoing manga in general. Right now, at the time this video is being recorded, we're going through one of the best arcs in the series. It feels like one of those serious Gintama arcs with some great action scenes, with great artwork, and still with all the great jokes that this series is known for. Witch Watch, obviously S tier for me. Next up is Blue Box. Blue Box is pretty good. It's probably the best romance title on Weekly Shonen Jump right now. Actually, nah, that's still Witch Watch. But this manga's up there. Also, it's a sports manga too, so if you like basketball and badminton, maybe you'll like this. I personally only care about one of those sports, but you know, that didn't really affect my enjoyment. Real talk though, I like Blue Box a lot. It feels more like a seinen romance than a shonen romance just because of how much more grounded and... do I want to call it mature? Yeah, why not? Because of how mature it is. It's not about all the goofy slapstick rom-com tropes. It's more about just writing genuine human connection and believable chemistry. The art is cool too. I actually didn't like it at first, but I think it's grown on me after a bit, so that might be the case for you too if you decide to read it. Which you probably should, because I'ma say Blue Box is A tier. Next up, we got another one of my personal favorites, Akane Banashi, which is a series I meant to do a video on a while back, but yeah. I mean, me promising that I'll make a video is like Blizzard promising to deliver a quality gaming experience. Akane Banashi is officially classified as a coming-of-age comedy drama, but in reality, it's secretly one of the best sports shonens out right now. You know, if you consider stand-up comedy a sport. Although to be fair, in 2023, telling jokes might even be considered an extreme sport. But yeah, Akane Banashi is about rakugo, which is essentially a traditional Japanese storytelling form. I know I mentioned stand-up comedy, but it doesn't necessarily have to be funny. It's almost like giving a more entertaining TED Talk. It can really be about whatever. And if you're thinking that premise sounds boring, think of it like Chihayafuru or even Haikyuu. Because I know a lot of people who couldn't give less of a fuck about volleyball, but were completely hooked on Haikyuu. Akane Banashi manages to make rakugo look just as exciting as the Chunin exams or the culling game. It's got all the elements of a hype sports or battle shonen, but they're just like telling stories about Japanese folklore on a stage to a crowd of like 12 people. It's amazing. Again, I won't get too into spoilery details, but once you read that first chapter, you'll know if you like the series or not. I'm gonna say Akane Banashi is A tier. Next, we got Ruri Dragon, which... oh, is that still being published on Weekly Shonen Jump? I guess it still counts even if it's on indefinite hiatus, because Wikipedia says it's still an ongoing series, and when has Wikipedia ever been wrong about anything? Ruri Dragon only had about a single volume's worth of chapters released before going on hiatus, but man, did it make an impact. I don't know what it was, but the series just popped off for no reason. Everybody loved it, which I guess makes sense because it's a good manga. It's about some girl who's part dragon or something, and you know how weebs love their monster girls. I think the appeal for me personally comes from how nonchalant it is when dealing with its fantastical subject matter. Like, she'll literally breathe fire in class and everyone is like, oh, that was weird. Is everyone all right? Okay, back to learning about algebra. It gives it a lot of quaint charm. I guess we'll say Ruri Dragon is B tier. Next, the Ichinose family's Deadly Sins. Now, this is another one that I've talked about more in length on a dedicated video before, but the thing is, unfortunately, my opinion on it may have changed a bit. I still think it's an incredible series. I'm still enjoying it, and I still would recommend anyone to read it, but to be honest, it's kind of fallen off. The main point of praise I had for it in the video I made was that the mangaka Taizen 5 seemed like they had a clear-cut vision and direction for the series. Like they weren't just making it up as they went along, everything felt purposeful and thought out. And this is critical for a mystery series, right? That much should be obvious. But now it's like, I don't know if I feel the same way. It feels like these recent arcs have just been meandering around, and it's lost that sense of direction and urgency that made it such a page turner to begin with. And to be fair, this could all be leading somewhere, and there's like a 200 IQ master plan to make it all work, and if that's the case, I'll gladly take my L, but until then, yikes. And I would say it's still B tier though, looking at everything put together, because before this I would have said it's like A tier or maybe even S tier, but yeah, it's just unfortunate that it fell off a bit. Alright, I'm gonna speed through these last few because most of them are relatively new with only a few chapters, so there's not a whole lot I have to say about them. Cypher Academy. It pains me to say this because y'all know I'm a Nisio Isin stan, but this is just not an entertaining series for me personally. The whole thing is about these word puzzles that Nisio Isin is such a fan of, as you all know, and that's fine. It's completely okay that they're complicated, and I guess you need like a PhD to understand them. That's all fine and everything. The thing is, nothing else about the series is all that interesting for me personally, and I mean the characters, the plot, all that. So if you're a dumb American like me who barely has middle school level knowledge of Japanese, I mean, it's just not gonna hit the same. D tier, unfortunately. Kill Blue, actually probably the most recent one I read on this list. I literally binged all the available chapters just a couple of days ago, so it's pretty fresh in my mind. In my opinion, this is a hit or miss series, and you have to read it yourself to know what I mean. If you look at it from one perspective, this could be the most contrived, goofy, tropey series of all time, and you're gonna be like, okay, this is trash. But I can see from a different perspective, it can give that whole so bad it's good energy. Because me personally, I was really entertained reading this, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. Nue's Exorcist is really dumb. I don't like this series. It's so forgettable to the point that I had to look it up again to remember what it was about when I saw it on this Wikipedia list. F tier, honestly. Martial Master Asumi shows a decent bit of promise, but I personally think it's gonna end up being relatively forgettable. It's got some good action and fun characters, I guess, so I think it's definitely worth reading to see if it goes anywhere. I'm gonna put it in C tier though. Ice Head Gill. I'm gonna say D tier. Mama Yu. I mean, I see the vision for this. Unfortunately, I think this one will get axed sooner than later too. But if it lasts, I could see it getting an anime adaptation and cashing in on like the Spy Family crowd because it's got that same kind of energy. I'll put it in C tier, I guess. Kaburabachi. I mean, isn't this like a meme now? The thing is, I actually think it's like pretty good, I guess. I'm a big sucker for Yakuza stuff though, so there's that. I guess for the memes, I gotta put it in S tier, right? But really, it's like just a solid C tier though. I can see the vision. It might get fire later on. 2 on Ice literally has like 2 chapters out at the time I'm making this, so there's not really a lot to say. It's cool so far. No pun intended, because you know, Ice. I'm gonna just put it in C tier for now. But yeah, as far as I can tell, these are all the currently running manga on Weekly Shonen Jump at the moment. If I missed anything, blame Wikipedia for spreading misinformation. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe, and also donate to Patreon if you want to support the channel. Otherwise, I guess that's the video. Peace. I know some of y'all are mad as hell that Black Clover got moved off Shonen Jump because you probably wanted to hear me roasted on here. Newer subscribers probably don't know this, but Black Clover was actually what popped off my channel at the beginning. Yeah, believe it or not, it wasn't JoJo at first. It was Black Clover of all things. But hey, the Black Clover manga has always been decently solid all the way through. I just like making fun of the openings.